not just single acts, but if you have to look at them, look different policies and practices of Israel as being interconnected with the singular purpose of taking the land without people. It has everything, all the elements of historical crimes that we witness in, settler colonial genocides across North America, Latin America, Australia, right, South, and Africa. Everything is there, man. Israel is the embodiment of all elements of crimes, with the exception of slave trade and slavery, yeah, that we have witnessed the Christian Europe committed over the last 500 years against the people of color around the world. Israel is the worst form of, genocidal regime. That's why, Professor Noam Chomsky, who used to live here in his youth in the 1950s in kibbutz, right? He finally said Israel is the most vicious type of settler colonialism. Everything that is wrong with the human civilization, Israel has mastered and institutionalized it.
Tell us about the actual interactions that you had with Palestinians and Israelis. So you spent time in East Jerusalem and the West Bank. Were you able to meet with Palestinians? And if so, what was their feelings and attitudes towards the situation that we're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I had, talked to different Palestinians from a cross section of the Palestinian society, right? Like kids in refugee camps, the shop owners, university students, NGO activists, faith leaders, from Lutheran Church, other Christian denominations, and also I also talked to we visited El Aqsa Mosque, and talk to the prayers there. In West Bank, what strikes me is that although West Bank is nominally under the Palestinian Authority administration, the common view is that Palestinian authorities are at best completely impotent, to protect the Palestinian population there, at best. And at worst, Palestinian authorities is really, serving as a local controller of Palestinian people, their own people, for Israel. I don't make these words up. That's like, when you sit down and, chat with them, the locals say Palestinian authorities controlling us for Israel. That's rather damning. And then, and then someone even said, oh, we're under double occupation. I mean, that I was shocked, and what we're looking at is basically like a Nazi Germany-like situation, right? Because people, the Western media and, all the politicians and, even the Israeli people, they're blaming everything on Netanyahu. But Netanyahu is, riding the beast of a thoroughly Zionist society. The way Israeli talked about Palestinian. I struck up conversations with fellow passengers in Tel Aviv on a tram or buses, and they would say, Palestinian people, they're miserable people, they're in deep poverty, they're not the problem, but it's their leaders. And then it turned out that that's the standard narrative that Israel has circulated, right? Like, okay, that don't say anything racist about the Palestinians, just focus on the organizations and politicians, right? But they don't talk about 810-kilometer long wall that has massively impoverished and dispossessed and also settlements, right? Like the displacement, the use of terror, right? None of this is, insofar as the Israelis' public opinion is concerned, from my reading, my limited interactions, Israeli public feels they are moral. And I think that one woman used the term moral code. Well, Netanyahu had broken the moral code. I was like, well, what kind of moral code Netanyahu broke? I was like, well, he needed to save the, hostages, rescue them. Or we don't leave in our Jewish or Israeli Jewish society, we don't leave our people in distress or in need or at risk alone. We have to do it. But their sense of moral obligation does not extend to any Palestinian that they have terrorized for the last 75 years, from whom they have taken land, or like whose villages they destroyed. The last count, like, one of the local historians told me, the last count of the villages destroyed in Nakba is 609. And 11 Palestinian cities were depopulated, right? This is classic Hitler, right? Depopulation. The policies of the Israeli authorities is to make Jerusalem majority Jewish enclave, excluding erasing Jerusalem's multi-faith, multi-ethnic, multi-racial, inter-civilizational tradition. The Jews, the Muslims, and the Christians of different denominations, right? It's a holy site, but they want to make it, almost exclusively, Zionist, because we cannot conflate Zionism with Judaism. There are so many Jewish people who feel extremely offended by the fact that Israel is committing this or set up this ecosystem of genocidal methods in their name. Land without people, when they knew there were 95% of the population there was native, Arabs, Palestinians of different religion, even including the Jewish population, right? There. And so I think what we are seeing is Israel's pursuit of its singular overarching project of taking the land without the people. I've never seen this level of terroristic and sadistic violence. Israel systematically cheating the international law.
You spent 9 days in Palestine. You were able to speak with Palestinians in different parts of both Israel and Palestine. What was the message that you think they wanted the world to hear?
Well, they want, first and foremost, they want to stop the genocidal onslaught in Gaza. It's going on for 11 months, right? And that's the most immediate, because everyone's affected, although they're 100 or 200 kilometers away from Gaza, they are still affected by, what they witness as their fellow Palestinian being essentially exterminated, yeah? By, airstrikes and diseases and all that stuff, right? And secondly, they want Israel to comply with the International Court of Justice, advisory ruling, not just once, twice, that the occupation is totally against international law. Israel needs to, remove all the settlements. In other words, Israel needs to take 750,000 or close to 800,000, land thieves, euphemistically described as settlers from Palestinian land, right? And then Palestinians are not talking about, all right, let's go back to, one Palestine. Well, okay, maybe like that may be what some people advocate as one Palestine, right? But I don't see, with the level of dehumanization, with the level of hatred and disgust and the low opinion that Israeli public hold their cohabitants, the Palestinians, I don't see reconciliation in a single state. It has to be two state. But of course, but I'm just an outsider. Who am I to say what's best for them? But insofar as they're concerned, they want the end to occupation. They want to dismantle the wall. They want to dismantle the system of checkpoints. They don't want to be under Israeli occupation. That's been for 57 years, since 1967. Simple. So what Palestinians want? Immediate ceasefire in Gaza, end to occupation, yeah, and withdrawal of nearly 1 million land thieving Israeli communities off their soil.